So first off, do you want to go ahead and introduce our guest, everyone?
Let's do that. Kat, can you tell us about yourself?
Yes, hi guys, I'm Gunn, and I'm a competitive gamer pretty much my whole life. I've made well over $200,000 playing competitively, and recently I spend most of my time playing on Twitch, streaming all the latest that comes out. I specialize in FPS and fighting games, and I dabble in cosplay when on spare time when I go to conventions and whatnot. But mainly, yeah, I just game all the time.
There it is. So what did you do before you could make a living off gaming?
That's pretty much all I did. I started when I was 15. I mean, I was gaming ever since I was little, like 2. I played against my siblings in Mario Kart and all sorts of stuff. And I worked at GameStop, of course, because that's where everyone has to work as a gamer.
It's a requirement.
Yeah, they suck, though.
Did you ever steal any games?
No.
Did you get games early?
I got 4 hours a week. I could barely pay for my cat food.
4 hours a week?
Yeah, they were really I was the game
You call that work?
I don't know what you call that, but I had to. I talked to the boss, and he'd given me another place to work at. And then when I went to the other location, which is the east side of where I live, my car actually got vandalized and such. So it was a bad experience overall. And unfortunately, my district specifically, they weren't really into your knowledge of gaming. They more so cared about just your ability to sell and push the subscriptions down their throat and the Game Informer. And I was kind of, it's just really frustrating as a coworker to have to constantly remind people of, when people are at the buying a game and they're like, oh, this story again of oh, I have to sign up and do all that. So yeah, unfortunately my GameStop could care less. It could be used toilet paper. They'd still be like, just sell it and push it. So
you won season 2 of the Ultimate Gamer on the Sci-Fi Channel. How did you get into that? How did you get on the show?
Could we get a backstory for what that is? Because I haven't heard of it, and I need to.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago, and the directors Michael and Derek now do a show called Face Off, which you may have seen, which is special effects makeup on sci-fi.
Yeah,
yeah. So they actually stopped on the 2nd season of Ultimate Gamer and went off to do that show. So unfortunately, the show isn't around anymore, which is a bummer because it was 12 people living in a house. The one who won got $100,000 and an Alienware, a Samsung package, the whole gaming setup. Mm-hmm. And what you would do is a real life challenge versus a video game challenge. So for instance, we played Battlefield on the PC, and we would have to play off against. We had 4v4 at that point, and the real life challenge was paintball, and we would have to go from 3 different locations while setting up this satellite thing, and we shooting literally it was paintball versus each other. We were shooting each other, and it was pretty awesome because you were trying to blind the other people from putting in codes, and they would do that for each game. It would all feature a whole nother style of reality challenge, and then depending on your 2 scores, you would pick the best, would choose a person to go in against the worst, and whoever the last man standing wins.
Can you tap your mic just to make sure the right mic's picking you up?
This one?
Woody.
Yeah, it's totally not it.
What?
That's not the mic you're using.
It looks great, though. It's very professional.
Yeah, you sound awful.
No, I'll sound
You sound awful. I think you're using your
webcam
mic right now.
Yeah, I think it is. It's using my stupid Logitech.
Well, while you work on that, speaking of paintball,
there you go.
our paintball event is... Oh, you already sound better. Yeah, I can tell just from the... Yeah, much better.
See, so now it's awful and it's rude and it's awkward. But aren't you all glad I did this?
Yes.
Every show needs a joke.
Much better, 100% better. So,
comment about how much you appreciate Woody interrupting Kat.
So, Kat, your Twitch channel's booming. You're making some money. What's your plan into adulthood with this thing? You gonna buy a house free and clear, and then just lower your expenses for life? You rocking your 401k? What are you doing with your?
Oh man, I invest my money into the strangest things. That's why I said co-owning a printing thing is probably the smartest investment with that. Another thing I did.
Money? The printing thing?
Oh, it's insane. We got a building off the freeway, so we have very good advertisements. And the biggest thing is car wraps because they're very expensive to take care of cars. And we do color changes for Toyota. We have clients too around here that are Toyota and stuff that help pay off the bills.
How long does a car wrap last?
Forever. You gotta take it off with a heat gun. It's pretty. I mean, you could scratch it and stuff, but it's at least 5 years good before you even have to care. I mean, depends on the installers and the quality. There's so many different types of applications when it comes to the wrap itself. But even speaking of Bieber, he did a chrome change on his car for like 10 G's, and he changed the whole car chrome. So what's nice about car wraps is you can essentially make it anything, whether it's like an illusion type graphic that's like peeling off the side of the paint or just a whole color change. But we did like a matte sheen black color change for Toyota. And so having clients like that really helped. But when I won the $100,000 like 4 years ago, I invested it into a massive RC track for remote control 10 scale cars. And I made like 150 foot by 80 foot big. Bought a bobcat because of course I can't move the dirt myself.
Right.
So I bought a bobcat to not the but like the earth movers.
I'm well familiar with the bobcat.
Oh, not the feline. All right.
No, not the feline. No, they don't really do well when it comes to dirt. So yeah, I dug. It was me and my dad and an RC expert that came together, and we dug it 10 feet deep. We had a 40-foot driver stand. We all built. And it had elevation changes because so it's like a big dome, like a big bowl.
So you won $100,000 and you invested it into RC car racing.
Yeah.
Did that work out?
Is that the answer?
It was a lot of fun.
It was for fun. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to me investing, this is why I'm very fortunate to have gaming.
Was there any return on this RC track?
No.
Okay.
I mean, like, depends on what you want in return. If you're looking
money.
for money, no. But there was.
Do you
a
still
hell of amount
maintain
of
the
fun.
track?
No, it's definitely got a few weeds on it, but it would only take a day.
Everybody, this is our guest, Optic Midnight.
Hello, I was actually on before. Do you remember? It was
I do.
107. So over 100 episodes ago, I was here, and now I'm here again. So
She's a returning guest.
yeah.
Welcome
Yes.
back.
Like 2 years
Welcome
ago.
back.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And I don't think Kyle was on that episode, so now it's like it's almost like it's not the
different
same.
experience,
It's different. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
isn't even the same. No, it is, but yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast is just a revolving door of hosts.
Right. This is actually Optic Midnight's tryout to replace me.
Yeah, this is my recruitment challenge right now.
Exactly.
I'm going for
If
it.
things go well, I'm out of here.
We're going to get really meta and remove the guy who started it.
Yeah. That's
Go off on
crazy.
our own.
That's it. Be the Kyle
Call it
America
PK
Optic Show.
Midnight, please. PK Midnight. I'm changing the name.
As long as Taylor has to do the
Hopefully
ad
not
reads
that.
in the new configuration, like Taylor will do the ad reads, and I will do nothing.
I'll do.
You'll move
I'll hit
into
the
my
upload
position.
button.
Yeah, exactly.
What I missed? What did Taylor say?
Taylor said, you'll move up to my position of doing nothing.
Of nothing.
I'm here.
This place that I moved into like 6 months ago, the building's a little bit older. You can see probably the heat register behind me. It's old school. I've been having internet problems just intermittently. I was really hoping I wouldn't have them today. I mean, looks so far so good. But, yeah, but I live stream a lot. So, I started doing YouTube a long time ago. I've been doing that, and then I branched off into live stream and really started taking it seriously. Probably the last 2 years, I really was taking it seriously, trying to grow it. And so that's pretty much, live streaming is how I make a majority of my income. And
I
so
was
it's
going to ask you about that. Live streaming is more profitable than YouTube?
100%. Right now. I mean, it was even more profitable when I was still with Machinima because I was stuck in a really awful contract with them. But anyway, I moved here and I've just been having all sorts of issues with my internet, and so I'm actually moving. I'm gonna move because it's unworkable. Like last week, it got to. I need my cat to get down. He just keeps bumping into my leg.
He'll be back.
But yeah, he will. Last week it got like dangerously cold. Like the wind chill was -27. And it just, my internet during those days, my upload speed was like 1. It was unstreamable, unworkable, and I just had enough. Plus, I don't really like where I am, so I'm gonna move.
So what's the business model for Twitch? Is it the donations? Is that where the bulk of it comes from, or the ads?
I actually moved to MLG. So if you don't know, MLG.TV is primarily, I would call it, a Call of Duty streaming platform right now. When I joined, there was less than 50 people on the platform, and they were all really big Call of Duty people. And Nadeshot, you know, the guy who's pretty much got the largest streaming audience, he's been one of the people that's been doing it the longest. A lot of people moved over there, and I was pretty nervous when I accepted the contract because it wasn't that many people that were doing it at the time, but now it's kind of like the mainstream for Call of Duty, and which is that's what I primarily stream. I mean, I'll play other games like GTA or play like DayZ and stuff like that, but primarily I stream Call of Duty, so it was a good move for me. And where the money comes from MLG and why it's, I think, as a streamer better than Twitch, they give you more support. I mean, anything ever goes wrong, I have people there, they're waiting to help me, like that's literally their job, and they will help me out. They monetize much better than Twitch. The CPMs are much higher. And yeah,
Twitch
it's just
CPMs are always tricky. Like if you talk to the staff, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're making 5 or 7, or you know, some numbers that sound amazing." But then you look at your history, and it doesn't seem like that at all.
Yeah, no, it's, dude, you need to lay down. Right. But yeah, and then there's like a subscription feature, which is like $5 a month. People can choose to support you. They get cool things for their, you know, when they chat, they get cool logos. Like one of mine is when you subscribe to me, you get the Illuminati symbol. So you can actually go into other chats with the Illuminati symbol, and people freak out. Pretty funny. But yeah, so like subscriptions, donations. I don't particularly like to depend on donations for my income. They're cool. It's extra. It's like a tip jar. But the streamers that depend on donations, man, I don't know how they can sleep. You're literally depending on people to give you money, which is too difficult for me. So
the CS:GO guys seem to make like, I don't know what kind of numbers they're pulling, but whenever I see like stream highlights and stuff, people are getting like $30 and $45 donations.
Yeah,
it's like that must add up fast.
It does. I mean, like I said, I try. I mean, it's appreciated. It's like a tip jar. It's like, hey, thank you so much, guy who just gave me money for playing video games, doing like literally nothing. But I don't know. Some people really like doing that. They like the idea that you're entertaining them instead of, you know, going to the movies. They watch your stream for a couple hours. Here's $10 or something, you know. So I don't know. It's such a weird thing, and it's kind of in its infancy. I mean, this has become such a big deal, like within the last. I mean, if you think back to when you started YouTube, there was Justin TV, which nobody hardly used, and then it became Twitch, and now all these other platforms like Hitbox, and you have MLG. It's like a major Call of Duty platform. They kind of came out of nowhere, and it's really, this is all such a new space that it's hard to, I guess, I don't know, really pin down where it's gonna go, because it's crazy what's happening. So that's why I really started focusing on streaming too, because I'd seen Nadeshot had been doing it since, you know, Modern Warfare 3, and I always wanted to do it myself, but, you know, I was working on YouTube videos. I didn't have a computer or internet that could do it, that could handle that, so I never did. And then when I finally could, I just was like, this is so cool, because it's instant gratification, it's instant interaction, and that's what's the best part about it. It can be difficult, though, because when you do stream, they're like, oh, I'm gonna watch, you know, whoever, I'm gonna watch Midnight, and if you're playing awful, like when you're winning, they're all on your side. They're in the chat. They're like, yeah, that was awesome, man. You're the best I've ever seen. The best girl, the best this, the best that. But when you lose, if you mess up, oh my God, it's a whole different story. It's, oh, she's awful. I can't believe I'm watching this. Like, terrible, terrible, awful. It's interesting. I like streaming a lot. So.
Woody can't understand. He doesn't really get hated on.
Yeah, that doesn't compute.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure you've never had like any comments that are negative or anything.
Overwhelmingly uplifting, his comments.
I also didn't believe in Santa as a kid.
right.
I never believed in him.
You got robbed of it too? I never got that chance.
When I was in here's when the Santa thing was ruined for me as a kid. So when I was in foster care, I was with a foster parent who didn't really care about what she got for me for Christmas, but she did care enough to take me to a Santa Claus. She was within earshot that I wanted some purple boots, right? And then I got a train set for Christmas. I'm like, Santa's not real. If Santa was real, he would have gotten me those purple boots. No, none of that. No more Santa Claus in my life. But I had a lot of people try to be like, oh, but Santa's real. I'm like, no, I've already been disillusioned.
So he missed one gift and you shut it down?
Yeah.
I need to know more about this foster life thing. So were you a foster kid all the way through 18? Or did you...
So I was with my birth parents until I was 5. I went into the foster care system for 19 months. I got adopted when I was 8. And then from 8 to 18, I lived with my adopted parents.
Did they foster you first?
They fostered me for like a month. And then they're like, okay, we're going to adopt you. And I was like, okay, that works. And then the whole entire
You weren't excited? There was no teary-eyed Christmas letter with papers or something like Reddit?
Not really. I just was excited that they had dogs. And so I was like, I'm going to pet the dogs. I'm going to learn how to draw dogs. I'm going to hunker down and just draw dogs. While they made all the paperwork to adopt me, I was just like, dogs! Did I get to pet the dogs? I was so distracted by the dogs.
I have a
that
question.
Just swept up and adopted me.
Answer truthfully.
All right.
Of the foster parents you had, are the ones that adopted you the ones you wanted to adopt you the most?
No.
No. Okay.
No. The one before, I was a really big fan of my foster parents before the ones that I got adopted. They were too old though. Then they already had like 7 foster children to take care of. Yeah. I didn't hear what you said.
No, he said that's what you want. Old ones. Like
I want old ones that
they can't discipline.
You can get away with murder.
Well, not only that, they'll be gone soon, and they'll, it'll be, oh, this is
it's an
my house
investment
now.
strategy.
Yeah, and you just keep cashing their checks. You know.
Like, yeah, they were very nice to me. Like the older lady would brush my hair, and she's like, "Oh, you're beautiful." Just brushing my hair, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice. Ah, yay!" And then the ultimate betrayal of my trust from her was when she sent me off to another foster home. And then I was like, dang it. I really wanted to be her foster child. Be adopted by her.
How does that work? Do they just like put your backpack out on the stoop and like it's a dog with like, go on, get out of here. Get out of here. Telling you to run down the road.
Rock.
Find a new family.
Like Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes.
They told me about like a couple of days beforehand, like, okay, you gotta pack, you're leaving now. I'm like, oh, that's sad. Where am I going? Well, I got a new foster family. And it's like, meanwhile, like without talking to me at all, they're like talking to the social worker about a month beforehand. Okay, we can't take care of her. Can you please put her into a different house? Could you do that for me, please? And then they'll do all the stuff behind the scenes while I'm oblivious to it because I was 7 at the time and I was only interested in dogs and drawing.
Were you hard
dogs.
to take care of? Is that what they were saying with that?
I don't know. I don't think I was, but that's just me. I mean, as an autistic youngin who wasn't diagnosed autistic until I was 16, I was just really quiet. And also ran up the stairs like a dog, and they didn't like that. And I kept doing it.
How long it took them that long to figure it out?
What would you say?
She's nonverbal and she goes up the stairs like a dog. You don't think autism, do you? No.
There was with all the foster families that I was with, they were like, "Oh, I think she's autistic," but they never sent me for a diagnosis, like ever. Because they just didn't want to deal with that, I guess.
Where'd you get diagnosed? Was it the state, a private doctor?
It was a psychologist that my adopted mother took me to. She looked into psychologists who can diagnose autistic people, And okay, fun story. I walk into the psychologist place and I'm like, I'm not autistic. I'm not autistic. Because like
You
before
crawled
this,
in.
I was like, autistic people are weird. I don't want to be autistic whatsoever. So I go in and then she's like, okay, here's some tests. What would you do if you were to brush your teeth? And I'm like, oh, well, I just like mimic it, like, and then do the brushing of the teeth, just follow her tests. And then she's like, well, you're autistic. I'm like, damn, even when I'm trying not to be autistic, I still come off as autistic.
Do you have any idea what you got like wrong about that?
She said the way that I was mimicking the action with my hands.
Mm-hmm. That's what I immediately. Yeah, you mime it. Like she didn't ask you to mime it, did she?
No, she didn't. I just mimed it. It was like because it was easier. It was easier for me to describe what's happening if I'm miming it or like visualizing it, and then like describing that picture versus just like coming up with words off the spot. Then it would be harder for me to just come up with words on the spot if I wasn't miming it. So
my
I think that was
son is
the tell.
autistic. He's not as high functioning as you are, but my son is autistic. He's 20 now. And at first, as parents, like, I guess we kind of pushed back against that diagnosis. We didn't want it to be true. And they'd say, all right, he's autistic. Look at the way he's playing with these toys. And he has like, I don't know, 30 Matchbox toys. And he would do what they called fluffing them. Like you put them in the air and stir them like you were trying to get the salt in your popcorn. Oh. And it's like, okay. So you're not supposed to play toys like that, I guess. So I'm out there teaching him how to play with Matchbox cars and shit like that. And then the next time we go to the doctor, he's going to pass this fucking test, right? So he gets the toys and he lines them all up like there's some sort of traffic jam. And they're like, no, that's not right either. And it's like, fuck. He did the opposite of the other thing. He's still not happy.
Did you try and
should
trick
be going
him?
for a ride?
Be like, doctor, just out of curiosity, how would you play with the toys?
I wouldn't. I'm a doctor.
Teaching him about the autistic, which might be a loss
for children.
He's like, well, I'm a doctor, and so I would also pile
all
them
of a sudden, suddenly he goes, Mr. Woodward, would you play with the toys for me? Right. Play with the toys.
I do remember going to rooms before I went to the person who diagnosed me autistic. There was like a transitionary period between being in the foster care and being adopted, where I had to take these speech therapy lessons, and they had these toys in the waiting room, and I would make these toys like perfectly symmetrical, like even when I was younger. I was like, oh, that's definitely a tell that I was autistic, because I was so focused on making them symmetrical, and they couldn't physically be symmetrical because of the way it was built. So it was always like freaked me out, and I would melt down because they can never be symmetrical. I guess that's also a tell that I was autistic.
Well, but I feel like because I used to like making things symmetrical as a kid, but I'm not autistic.
Yeah.
Like I think because if someone were to knock my stuff off, I see those faces.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like I wouldn't have a meltdown ever if like someone came and knocked my symmetrical thing over. Like what kind of meltdown were you having?
Oh boy, I would just like scream and shout and be like, "You're messing up my thing! God dang it!" And also another story: someone stole my spot on this particular jungle gym, and my reaction was to bite their leg. I bit their leg instead of be like, "Hey, can you get off the thing, please?" I was like, "Oh, you stole my spot!" And then I grabbed their leg and bite into it. That was like my first reaction.
How old were you at the biting age?
I was 9.
9. That's past biting.
All right. Yeah. I don't think it's that bad though. Like I thought she was gonna say like 17 or something. Like
was this also one of those things where like you hadn't been in your spot on the jungle gym for like a 24 since like the previous recess, and then someone else, some unwitting girl, sits in your spot and you go over guns blazing? I
think I was actually sitting in there for the entire recess. I got up because the teacher called me to do something. I went back outside and the person was in my spot. And I was like, "You're in my spot, chomp." And I just bit their leg.
Did you draw blood?
No blood, but I did get suspended for half a day because it was a Friday. I was like, yes.
Half a day.
Yeah, that's
half
actually
a day.
That's not a negative at all.
Yeah.
Are you totally attached to your routines?
Yeah. If if I don't do a particular order routine, like workout, then like workout, watch movies, and then wash my face and take a shower and then get makeup ready. If I don't do this by a certain time of the day, then I'm just going to be like, I'm going to fully tilted. I'll feel terrible. I'll be like, oh no, I'm not productive at all because I'm not adhering to my schedule 100%. And then I'll be prone to freaking out more because my schedule isn't being adhered to. Like I would just start yelling, crying if I'm not adhering to a schedule, or if I like just start feeling weird, and like the tension of not fulfilling that schedule just builds up more and more and more. And because I like to just keep all of my emotions just hidden down, because I don't want to like disturb people with emotion talk. And then until I blow up, I'm like, I'm having a terrible time. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I react to not being on routine.
At the end of the day, I have a conversation with my son, the same one, for like 800 days in a row now.
Yeah.
The same conversation. Yeah. It goes like this. He comes down. He says, Dad, I watched a movie. I say, what movie did you watch? And he gives me the name of it. And I'm like, what's the genre, right? Was it animated? Was it horror? Whatever. Because it ends with me guessing the length of the movie. I ask what the genre is. I might ask him the streaming platform. And I ask him what year it came out, because movies are getting longer. And then I guess the length of the movie. And we do that every day for like 800 days in a row now.
Have you ever nailed it?
Oh, yeah. I nailed it twice in a row this week. Yeah.
Twice in a row. Colin, that's going to be 122 minutes. And then
I do it with hours. Like 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 1 hour, 28 minutes. I got it twice this week in a row.
Damn.
Nice.
You got to gamble. Take advantage of this hot streak you're on. That's a fun game. Like you do talk with your.
No, it's not. It's like, all right, Woody, buckle up. He needs this.
By the way, I'm a tea guy now. Bought an electric kettle. I'm drinking lots of
What kind of tea?
I didn't realize you were gay. What kind of tea do you like?
Herbal peppermint tea.
Oh,
yeah,
like
that's
that.
gay tea. That's awful tea. I'm drinking Earl Grey with milk and sugar because that's a real tea, unlike your hippie
Earl
shit.
Grey
Well,
tea.
the caffeine will keep me up too late.
That's very Captain Picard.
So you're a pussy.
I am. I was hoping to get an alliance with the resident Brit in the room on the tea thing, but I guess not.
Yeah, instead you got
not.
like a real fucking.
No, you know how like you'll get into something a little bit and then you'll like look for a Reddit forum about it and they just like are so autistically into it almost ruins it for you. Like I went to r/t and I was like, I wonder if they got cool pictures here. And then of course I went to like
That wasn't about like YouTube drama with like Jeffree Star.
No, it was about fucking tea. And I found out within like the first like 5 of the top all-time posts, like shitty ass memes where it's like how I am when I'm drinking Earl Grey, and it's like a cool cat, and it's like how I am when I'm drinking herbal tea, and it's like a retarded deformed dwarf, and it's like oh, I guess there's.
But still, now that you're a tea drinker, you're like, yes, I understand.
I had to. So funny story about tea. Like my other half drinks that bastardized cold tea, sweet tea, whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
So I had to go and buy
Not
some.
even that sweet.
Disgusting, whatever the hell it is. So I go to Kroger and
By the way, just so you know, it tastes different in Canada. By the way,
tastes shit both sides, I'm sure.
No,
but
no. Hey, we're on your side.
kind of.
We still got the queen on our money, so come on now. Okay,
That's true.
Earl
You're
Grey,
sort of
Earl
the
Grey, yeah,
Commonwealth.
Earl Grey, Captain Picard. I'm all about it.
So
Anyway,
I'm
sorry,
stood
continue.
in Kroger looking at all these like cold tea bag things. I don't even know how to make it. And like this woman just walks up the aisle and I'm like, do you drink cold tea? Which brand do I get? How do I make this?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Did
think
she answer you? Or she like, get away from me, lady?
No, she did. She was like, well, now a lot of people in the South like the Lipton, but this is the best one that everyone, real people who like tea drink. So I got whatever that was.
She said real people who drink tea and like saying that to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real
You're
people.
like, come on, I'm real people that like to drink real
Helping
tea.
me
This ain't
out.
real tea, bitch.
Yeah, she was
You know
helping me out.
This
You know
ain't
the
it.
other thing all those people like is they're like, you haven't really tried tea until you're drinking loose leaf tea. And I was like, what's that look like? And I looked at it, and it's just a cup of water with fucking leaves floating all around in it. Like you're drinking
You're
leaves.
supposed to strain it out.
That's so many steps.
Wait, it's like the tea bag. It's not in a tea bag. It's like straight up in the cup.
It looks like if you
in
held it up
glass or
someone,
whatever, and then
if
you
said
strain
like,
it after.
Yeah, try this drug. That's what it looks like.
The only time you should use loose leaf is if you're making tea for a bunch of people, and you can do it in a teapot where you can just strain the water out as you pour.
I bought an electric kettle because that seems smart. Kitty, you're
when I
jumping in
first
and out with the
moved
audio a
here.
little bit.
Oh, really? I don't know why.
Every once in a while, you'll skip, and then I'll jump in. And it sounds like I'm interrupting you, but yeah.
Just rude.
Are you getting that, Woody? I'm just fucking rude.
No matter what's gonna happen, everyone in the comments is gonna be like, "This guy interrupted that guy. That guy interrupted that guy. Look at this.
It's always me.
Harley's fucked up on."
Dude, it's me.
I was really sober last stream, by the way. Last podcast, I was 100%
just coffee,
sober.
right?
Yeah, I was drinking like 2 liters of coffee, and everyone's like, "Yo, Harley fucked up. He's fucked up."
He was fucked up, but on caffeine. Who the hell drinks 2 liters of fucking coffee?
2 liters is a lot.
I'm just a fucked up guy.
I always
have a heart attack.
Fucked up anyways, man. And I'm like, I'll speak less. I yelled a lot last podcast. I'll speak less. Tell us, Kitty. Tell us. How are you doing?
Yeah, we do need to catch up with Kitty.
We got a cool guest this week. What have you been watching these guys for a while? Tell the audience who they are to start with.
So your YouTube channel, God, I'm horrible at pronouncing things, but it's Sailing the Vagabond. Do I have that right? And it's Riley and Elena. And what
Elena, yeah.
I'm gonna struggle all. Yeah, messing up names is kind of my thing.
We love it. We love it.
Actors, actresses, movies, technical things, graphics cards.
The English language in general is not firmly in hand.
So please don't take it personally if I mess it up all day. But I've been watching these guys. I don't know. I don't want to exaggerate. It had to be at least a year. I've gone through, I think, your entire back catalog. And what they do is they sail around the world. Riley had, I can't recall exactly, it was some fairly well-paying job that didn't spiritually pay off, if I have the story right. He flew over to maybe the Mediterranean somewhere, maybe, or north of Australia, bought a boat, quickly met Alana, who goes by Elena, I think, and
Eli. Just call me Eli.
Eli? Oh,
Easier.
I'll mess that up too.
She's like, just point to
me. And he met her early on in his voyage, and they paired up. They're a couple now, and they sail the seas. I know you've gone from over that Asia, Europe area to the Caribbean and South America. Where are you coming from? You told us just a minute ago.
We're currently in Panama City.
Panama City. Have you actually circumnavigated yet?
No. We've only really crossed the Atlantic. We've got a couple of really big sails coming up. We're going to the Galapagos, which is a 7-day sail, and then we're going to hang out there for a while. I'm meeting my father's coming over, and then from there we've got a 30-day sail. So that's a big one across the Pacific.
Yeah. So, some people go out and they make circumnavigation like a goal. That doesn't seem to be your goal. Your goal seems to be going places you'd like to be and just being unshackled.
That's a much better goal. It's not even impressive to circle the world anymore. Like it's like 300 years ago maybe, but why not now just do whatever the fuck you want?
Yeah. Oh, that's their goal. They just do whatever the fuck they want. You guys came up in the show a week or two ago, like kind of organically. Like I forget. I mentioned that you catch your food with a spear gun, and Taylor has this great line. He's like, "Yes, that's either for the very, very rich or the very, very poor." Like rarely do just regular people just go swimming with the spear.
Not a middle class hobby.
No.
Spearfishing.
No, I know what you mean. It's sort of like either trophy hunting or desperately searching for food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Riley will seriously be in the water for hours, and he's so disappointed when he doesn't come home with a fish. It's really upsetting.
I have a question. Have you ever been out at sea and dropped something that's actually important in the water and lose it? Has that ever happened?
stuff that costs, around $100. Never anything that's our life, Like,
We were dismantling a winch, my cousin and I, halfway across the Atlantic, and he sort of pulled it up, and all of the inside, all of the bits and pieces, the necessary gears just fell out all over the floor, and we were desperately jumping and like trying to stop them from going overboard.
Yeah.
We managed. That would have been game over. I don't know what we would have done then, but managed to grab all the bits and pieces and stuff. No.
No, they weren't near shore. I know this.
Would have eaten Elena.
I'm always really worried because, like, when we're doing big sails, like a week or 2 weeks, Riley will jump off the back of the boat and hold onto the rope while we're sailing, and that just really freaks me out, and I wish he wouldn't do it, so I think that's sort of the worst thing.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
It does sound
I'm
dangerous.
always watching him. Like,
So, Elena, I swear he calls you Alana, but Elena, yeah, he's Australian.
He can call her whatever he wants to.
Yeah, of course he. So you made a decision to come on board, and you just knew him. You did like a short sail, and then decided to stay with him.
Because of the implication.
Not scary at all.
I'll take this one. It was the moustache, Woody. It was the moustache.
That's what she says. Yeah. I've seen all your episodes. Yeah. Like legit, like someone was interviewing her. I forget where I watched it, but and she said, yeah, it was the moustache. It was irresistible. What can she do?
Oh, well, I can't deny that. It was initially the moustache that I saw first. And he told me he had a boat, and I didn't believe him. I was like, he was like, I've got a boat at the marina. You and your friend should come back later. And I was like, yeah, all right.
Nothing
anyway,
sus.
Blah, 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 blah. I just didn't think he had a yacht. I thought he was so young. And anyway, I went there a few days later during the day just to, make sure this guy was all right before I jumped on his boat. And turns out he was all right, and I went for a little sail.
That's
what
else
was the total vetting process before you hopped on and headed out to international waters with him? Like, a few days?
My mum seemed very upset.
No,
it was longer than that. It was, so we met, and then I had to go back to work.
And I had to go home and sell my van. So we knew each other for like probably a month or 2 months before we actually set sail.
Okay, that's not as bad.
That's way longer than it was in my head.
My next question.
I thought he literally picked her up at the dock, and she was like, "I'll give it a go," and she was just like available to go sailing. They went, and then I know they went sailing for some. Like, they both had it in their head that, like, you know what, we're going to go someplace. It was a shorter trip. Like, I'll call it 2 weeks, but I could be wrong. And at the end of that, they made a decision to keep sailing together.
Yeah,
like,
I just imagine a conversation with one of her friends where she's like, this is Riley. If I don't show up in 6 weeks, he's the guy who murdered me. Make sure you tell everyone.
Yeah.
And he's sitting smiling like, tell me about the boat.
Yeah, pretty much.
How big is the boat? Like, what are its dimensions? And if you don't mind us asking, like, how much did it cost?
Okay, so it's it's exactly 43 foot long, and it was about $100,000 Australian, which these days is only about
$1,200,
$60.
1,200 US, yeah.
No, here, I'll convert it. I'll get it. Do you say $100,000 Australian?
Yeah, at the time. It was during the global financial crisis, and Woody, you'll probably remember this. I bought it off 3 arguing Italians, so I picked it up for a bit of a song. I was pretty happy with the price that I paid in the end.
You're living a movie, and that was just the opening scene where your character decided he was done working, saw a bunch of Italians haggling over a boat, and you were like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to do this. Then you find a girl across the world, and it was a great
curtains went up, and that was the opening scene.
For people that want to know, that's about $71,000 US. About 71,000.
So an expensive boat, yeah.
Yeah,
is there
it
anywhere
is.
on it that you can stand, like fully stand up while you're inside it? I'm not familiar with the boat as well as Woody.
Oh yeah, it's got
4 cabins, 2
It's
bathrooms.
got 4 cabins, 2 bathrooms. It's quite big, so you would say it's an expensive boat, but a very, very cheap house.
Yeah.
They can stand. I bet they can't jump. I bet if they wanted to jump and hit their head on the roof, they could. If that gives you any vibe as to the... Maybe Riley could anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they were trying to.
Jumper.
Yeah. And then he says it has 4 cabins, but I want to say a lot of times they're filled with clothes and stuff. Like they're not always just ready for people. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen when you're out on the ocean?
Sorry?
Have you ever been? I was going to ask. Have you ever been afraid when you're out on the ocean? Has anything ever happened that scared you? Maybe I can't imagine what it would be, but like, did you ever see like a giant shark?
It sounds horrible being out there.
Yeah, you know. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
Captain Ahab.
Captain Ahab, I was about to say, yeah, no giant squids as yet.
We did see a shark feeding frenzy once, and Riley like shot himself. It was really funny. We were both free diving down, and he obviously speared a fish, and a whole bunch of reef sharks came out and were just mauling this reef fish. Anyway, I was down at about, I don't want to go saying how it's me. I was down pretty deep. Riley, and I was like, "Where's Riley?" And I looked up, and there's a shark feeding frenzy. Riley's gone. Anyway, he swam back to the boat, and I was pretty
left
petrified.
Elena for dead.
He left me with the freaking shark.
You should have shot her with the spear gun and pulled her back. It's the gentlemanly thing to do.
I don't know if you've seen that episode of Seinfeld with George Costanza, and someone needs to lead the way to safety.
Yes.
Someone has to get there first.
Dude, tell me more about your decision to like
that.
leave land life, like Riley in particular. So were you in like a dark place or something? Just not happy with the life wasn't providing enough joy? Like, what made you just decide to sell it all and hit the seas?
Okay,
you must get this a lot.
No, it's, I don't know whether
the authorities
to go,
were closing in. Is that it?
Yeah, it's not something I can talk about. No, it was. I love traveling with work. So I used to work on an oil rig, and I was working 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and I used to travel a lot. And I started putting a few plans in place so that I was sick of traveling out of a backpack, and I started thinking, well, how can I take a home with me? And then I don't know, it sort of spawned from there. Maybe a bit of when I delve very deep into it, I used to really, really love Han Solo. And there's a bit of a captaining your own ship vibe from my childhood. And I think he instilled me with the enthusiasm.
That's awesome. That sounds like so much fun when you put it that way.
You were inspired by Han Solo? Yeah. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. You ever watch Waterworld with Kevin Costner?
It doesn't end well for him.
No, not Kevin Costner. No, definitely Han Solo.
You're more of a Mel Gibson fan? Someone pointed out to me. I read recently
when you've gone out to sea, when you were preparing, and you realized once you got out there that you totally forgot something that you needed desperately, and it was too late to go back. Like, does that happen in modern day? I feel like it still would.
Water.
Yeah, well, for the Atlantic crossing...
Only water.
Yeah, for the Atlantic crossing, it was, we were estimating at either 17 to 20-day sail. And we got about a week into the trip, and we realised that we had Riley's cousin Jack, who's inexperienced as well, and he was meant to fill up both of the water tanks.
Oh, Jack's not going to like this.
I love you, Jack, but I have to tell this story because it's freaking retarded.
Jack will dispute this. Dispute the veracity of
Jack's not here.
Testimony.
Yes, we're not on Jack's team. Yeah.
Anyway, he obviously put the hose in, and sometimes it can look like it's full because water sprays out. Anyway, he forgot to fill up the tank full, and we had to have showers with salt water and really conserve.
No, he would have had some saltwater showers. We would have had plenty of water. That would have been the end of that. You didn't fill up.
We were drinking Fanta. Drinking like year-old Fanta. It's disgusting.
Right towards the end of the trip, so you can imagine it's a small place. Things are starting to get a little bit heated. He might have said something along the lines of, "You didn't plan properly," and I didn't.
You're a bad captain.
Elena, in the end, pointed out that it may have been Jack that didn't fill up the aft water tank correctly.
No. Then I would have said something like, "It's a long swim to shore," and that would have been the end of that.
We didn't have a plank for anyone to walk at that stage, so we were forced to sort of sort it out. there was someone was drinking Fanta at the time, and we were running quite low. I had some stashed aside, but if I pulled it out, everyone would have been like, pouring it over their heads and carrying on and having showers with fresh water. But so I had some set aside. Anyway, Jack and I had a bit of an argument, and I tied a ribbon around one of my hidden bottles of water and lowered it into his cabin as like an
offering,
an offering, a peace offering. And I'm like, there's a few little more of where these came from if you behave yourself. And it was.
So on your videos, you don't usually cover the negatives of your lifestyle, right? Like you guys are so close together. You can be in separate rooms, but you certainly can't be without an earshot of each other. Like you're always kind of in each other's existence. And you barely even mention any kind of discomfort, Like I think in your recent episode, Alana said that she can only edit videos so long before she gets seasick. What are do you guys get seasick out there? Do you guys get angry? Do you ever just really wish you had more elbow room? Be honest.
Well, we sort of trying to make a relationship work in a space that small has been a struggle from the beginning, but we've worked out a few different little systems, and now when we're getting in each other's face and things are heating up, we're like, all right. And the furthest place you can get away from each other on the boat is if one person is on the bow of the boat and the other person is in the room below. So we're right on top of each other, but it's the furthest distance away. So that's just our little cool down spot. We don't have to go
storm away and slam those narrow little boat doors.
Right, it's just a shutter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really pathetic storm off. Yeah, and then you're like 2 meters away.
Yeah.
So we know more about how you got together and why you do this thing you do, but why did you start videoing this and putting it on the internet?
Well, I've traveled about 4 years since I finished school, which isn't that long, but I've been constantly traveling and sort of videoing it myself, and I'll make little videos to send to my mum because mum freaks out. She's like, "Where are you, Elena?" And I just think it's a great way to show my friends and family what I'm doing. So I started making the little videos, and then I got on Riley's boat and he had this little Canon camera. And at the time I was like, wow, this is sick. Like, why don't you use it? He's like, I don't know. Like, he just wasn't interested. And then I sort of adopted it and made it my own and started videoing, and I was like, it's pretty cool, like what you're doing. And I just tried to convince him to let me put some stuff on the internet and help inspire others to do the same.
I nearly answered for Taylor. So Elena is wired to be in entertainment, right? This is her thing. Whether it's the video or the music or whatever, she's comfortable in front of an audience. A lot of people, and Elena, you can probably back me up on this. If you point a camera at your random cousin or mom or whatever, they give you one of these deals. Elena will start singing or something. I don't know. Like she's supposed to be in front of the lens. And I think...
I get a little bit nervous.
Bullshit. I've seen too much of your stuff.
I think I stutter. I stutter a lot when I'm a little bit nervous when I'm talking to new people. That's something I think I have to work on.
If it's just us though and a camera, you do get into it.
And I can say this too. Something about the camera is different. Like the camera's your friend. Talking to it, like if you were on stage, that's a different thing. Even though they both have hundreds or thousands of people on the other side, the camera you can almost open up to. Like, yeah, we're buds. We've been doing this for a while, in a way that you might not do for real life people. But yeah, anyway, watching their videos, it's no surprise to me that she fired up a YouTube channel and started sharing her life. And Riley is just her. If you could picture YouTube as a hike, she's pulling them by the hand. That's how their channel is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the little sidekick.
You're the star.
He's getting better. He like, I think at first you point the camera at him and he's like, I'm reading right now. But now, like he'll be like, yeah, we're navigating. This is what we're doing. This is what we're up to. You're rubbing off on him.
So what's your long-term...
Sorry.
I was going to
I
ask
was
what's your
just going to say,
long-term
Riley's not really
plan with the whole thing. You know,
There's a lag.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag. But what's your long-term plan with this thing? You know, are you going to sort of be this world traveler into your 60s and 70s? I wouldn't. I mean, that sounds awesome. I'm imagining like aged versions of you, all gray and gristled, and like still riding the seas in some sort of hovercraft or something.
No, you can't. You don't get to choose. Trust me.
So yeah, I guess the plan is to, well, really figure out.
What is the plan?
I don't know. Just keep traveling.
So you guys took a break on land. I'll make it up for like 8-12 weeks, something like that, to earn some money.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah. I went back to working. I work offshore on either oil rigs or offshore construction. And Elena took that to, you wrote an album.
Yeah, I recorded an album of covers, and because we didn't really have a website set up yet, or, you know, things on our YouTube channel were a little bit out of date and our social media site. So I was working I wrote a recipe book, and I just did a few little things here and there, like made some t-shirts we could sell, and I was pretty much on the internet every day. It was my eyes hurt.
YouTube's a significant part of your funding. Like there was a piece of your video. God, I feel like I'm nerding out over this, but there was a piece of your video where Riley was like, we need to make videos and make good videos. And it was like, he's taking this kind of seriously. It's not just a hobby. It's part of their job.
Yeah, well, it started off for fun. And then like when we got back to Australia, we were pretty low on money. And, you know, Riley was waiting to get work, and it took a few weeks. So we were sort of like, can we afford to go back and, you know, get the work done on the boat that we need, relaunch the boat? Do we have enough money to keep this thing going? So, you know, I worked really hard on the internet to try and make sure that we could.
Yeah, and I think that goes towards what you were saying before, is like initially when I was perhaps a little bit disinterested, we weren't making any money.
Yeah,
and I was like, you know, it's all well and good to be running around with a camera, but shouldn't we be cleaning the decks or, you know, making sure that the sails aren't flapping and stuff like that? But I really turned a corner, I think, once we got back to Australia and we got on the news there, and our numbers really sort of skyrocketed a bit there, and we started making some money. And then I was like, all right, well, hopefully I won't have to go back and work on these oil rigs anymore. That'd be awesome.
So did you have the same job every time? So you'd sail for a while, go back to Australia, work, sail for a while, go back to Australia. So you weren't just pulling into ports in like, I don't know, India, and then picking up an odd job for 8 weeks and then hopping back on your boat. Because that's how Woody described it, and I pictured it as this remarkable like world traipsing story of where you go to like, I don't know, India and Nepal and all these places working random jobs.